Howdy champs, my name is Mohit and people. Today I'm going to show you how to create this fancy looking menu bar or navigation bar. Let's check out the Firefox preview. Okay, see the two different transitions that actually happen. So let's see how easily this was actually done. How did we manage to create this navigation bar or a navigation menu? Okay, let's start. Okay, people, as always, I'm going to use some code, I'm going to lose some code, and whatever code I'm going to lose, I'm going to recreate for you, so you'll get a much better idea how things were done, more or less from the very beginning, from home, from the very scratch. Okay, so as far as the HTML document is concerned, see that I'm actually using HTML5. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete everything inside the opening and the closing header tags, like so. So in the opening and the closing body tags, we have the opening and the closing header tags. Since I'm using HTML5 doc type, I can use the header tag. Also see that I'm actually, this HTML document is linked up with the styles.css file through the link tag with this styles.css file. Let's bring up the local site folder. So we have the index.html5. Inside the styles folder we have the styles.css file, and inside the pictures folder I have 5 PNG images of the size 74 by 74 px. Okay, so this is as far as the local site folder is concerned. Also inside the styles.css file I'm going to preserve the rules, but I'm going to lose the properties and their values, like this, like so. Okay, and I'm going to lose the property but not the value out here, so it may be a little difficult for me to remember the color names. So I'm actually losing the background color property, but I'm preserving the value. Okay, like this. Let's lose all the properties out here, like this. Let's lose all the properties and the values out here, like this, and here and here. Okay, alrighty, let's lose this too. Okay, very cool. So let's save the file up. So you see I have almost emptied everything that is inside the styles.css file, almost. Okay, and more or less emptied the index.html file too. Now we are good to go from scratch. Okay, if at this point, let's say save all. I'm using save all. I'm using Sublime Text 3, which is my code editor. Okay, if at this point, if I were to bring the browser up and if I were to refresh, obviously everything is gonna just vanish. Okay, so let's start coding, people. Inside the opening and the closing header tags, let's say I would want a div with a class of menu bar and yet another class of, let's say, a 1. Press tab to expand the code. I'm using Emmet, a code assist plugin, to code out real quick. Okay, inside the division I would want an image, let's say with a class of with a class of icon. Okay, that I'm going to define a little later, icon, and press tab to expand the code. Okay, now every menu item is going to have a background, it's going to have an image that I'm going to define in the source, which is going to be the same as these icons 1 to 6, people. Okay, so I'm going to give the complete path out here. I'm going to say pictures /icon 1.png. I'm skipping the alternate text for now, but you shouldn't. Okay, class is icon, so yeah, this is the way I wanted things to be. Cool. At the same time, I would want some menu item labels. So paragraph with a class of label and a value of, let's say, item 1 or whatever. Okay, press tab to expand the code. Cool. If at this point I were to save the document up, bring the browser up and refresh, I just have one single item. Cool. Next up, people, I would want such 6 items, since I would be having 6 buttons in my navigation bar. So let me copy up this bit and paste it 5 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. let's save the document up, bring the browser up, let's reload. So item 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, next up people, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a change. This remains class 1 for the first item, this changes to 2, class 2, and this changes to icon 2, and this changes to item 2, while this remains as item 1. This changes to 3. We'll soon see why I'm actually making these changes. This changes to 3, and this changes to a 3 2. This will be a 4. This will be icon 4, and this will be item 4. This becomes a 5, class 5, icon 5, and item 5. Okay, this is gonna be 6, icon 6, and item 6. Okay, let's save the document up, bring the browser up. At this point, if I were to refresh, so I would be having 6 menu items, item 1 2 3 4 5 and 6, right? Cool. And there are a few, you may be wondering where are the icons. You see icons had a white color and a transparent background, so that is the reason you can't see them at the moment, but you will be able to see them very soon. Righto. Okay, as far as the HTML document is concerned, I'm actually done. I need to just fill up these styles and I'll be sorted. Let's begin our reset rule. So margin of 0, okay, and a padding of 0 to be applied to everything. So that's why we are actually using the asterisk out here. Now this should be actually only padding 0. So margin 0, padding 0. That's a reset rule. And I'm actually selecting the font family to be a Helvetica. Okay, that's just a personal preference. Let's save the document up, and then I am going to define the tag header. You see all the 6 divisions which are going to act like the buttons or the items for the menu. 6 different items for the menu are encapsulated in the opening and the closing header tags. So I'm going to define the header out here. Okay, so let's say I would want my header to have a margin of let's say top bottom 100 px and auto for left and right. Okay, now let's say I would want it to have a width of 10806 items, every item having a width of 180. 180 into 6 gives you 1080. Okay, cool. And also I would want to have a height of 210 px. Okay, let me just cross check. Is 180 into 6 the same as 1080? Correct. Okay, let's say file and a save, and then people, I'm gonna define the class menu bar attached to the divisions. This class, which is attached to every division, the 6 different divisions which are gonna act like the buttons. Let me define this class. Okay, so let's say every menu item to have a width of 180 px and a height of 210, which is the same as the header height. Okay, px. At the same time, let me float every item to the left, and okay, fine. At this point, if I were to bring the browser up and refresh, the only change is that the items are now aligned left and right, adjacent, not top and bottom. That's the only change that's actually happened. Cool. Okay, next people, I'm gonna give all my divisions 1 through 6 different colors. So I'm just gonna add the prefix background dash color. Okay, so you know every division has a class of either 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. So background color for the first has light steel blue, light blue for the second one, dark gray for the third one, this is gonna be for the fourth one, this is gonna be for the fifth one, this is gonna be for the sixth one. Okay, and let's say file and a save. Bring the browser up, let's refresh to see the changes. Okay, now the icons that were not visible earlier because they were white in color are visible now, and you can also see the different labels that appear along with the item width of 180, a height of 210. Okay, next up people, I'm going to define the class icon that is attached to the element image, and I'll show you where exactly it is in the index.html file. You see every image has a class of icon. Image, class of icon. Image, src, whatever, and a class of icon. So let's define that and format our image. Cool. Here. Okay, first things first, I'm gonna give it a display of block. Now once you set the display of an element to block, it then starts to honor the width and the height. Thereafter excuse me, I'm gonna give it a width of, let's say, a 40px. Okay, let's bring the browser up to see the change. You see that you know the images, although originally were 74 by 74, have shrunk in size, or the icons have shrunk in size. Okay, cool. Now that I've given it a width, let's apply some margin. Let's say a margin of 40px, top, bottom, left and right to be auto. That's gonna center up the icons. So let's save the document up, bring the browser up, and let's see. Yep, so looking a lot better. So since the margins are left and right auto, the icons kind of center up, and you know they have a cushioning from the top and from the bottom too. Cool, of 40px each. Okay, next up people, let me give it a background color and some paddings. Let's go with the padding first. So padding, let's say 20, and let's say background of RGBA color model, RGBA. Okay, 255, 255, 255, a transparency or an alpha value or an alpha channel of 0.3, 30%. Okay, let's bring the browser up and let's see the change after having added some padding and some background color. Okay, this is the way things appear right now. Very cool. Let's move ahead. Let's make the background rounded. So BDRS, border radius people, let me set it at 50%. Setting the border radius at 50% to a rectangle is gonna round it up. Okay, just this way. Cool. At the same time people, let me drop in a box shadow, a copy and a paste out here. Okay, now you see the different arguments or the different parameters. X displacement 0, Y displacement 0, blur value 0, but a spread of 30 with a color of RGBA 255 255 0. That's this 0 is going to actually render it transparent. If this 0 had been, let's say, a 0.5 for example, I'll show you how things would appear. Okay, this is the way the box shadow would have otherwise appeared, but setting it a value of 0 actually ensures that I'm gonna render it transparent. And if I were to refresh the browser now like this, you know, everything just disappears. Cool. Okay, at the same time I'm gonna apply a transition effect to this. What Why did we actually do that is going to become clear a little later. Okay, and also a transition to this rule. Let's say a transition of a height over 0.4 seconds again. Why did I actually do this? It's going to become clear very soon. If at this point I were to bring the browser up, nothing's going to change. The equation is not going to change. Okay, but things will start to take shape very soon. Okay, so I'm actually done with the rule image dot icon. So all icons. Right. Now let me affect all the labels. So every paragraph, which is every paragraph that has a class of label, let me affect that. Since I'm already done with all the images with the class of icons, 6 of them actually, let's tackle all 6 paragraphs with the class of label, which have values ranging from item 1 to item 6. Let's do that. Okay, so first things first. Font size, obviously. Let's say 1.1 EM. Okay, a color of black, which is also the default color. Why did I actually give it black? It's gonna become very clear a little later. I'm not gonna discuss it immediately. Okay, as well as text align center. Yep. Let's save the document up, bring the browser up at this point, and let's see the change. You know, everything, all the different items have been centered up. All the text for all the different items has been centered up. Right. And I'm going to drop the opacity to, let's say, 0.6. Okay. At the same time, I'm going to give it a padding top of, let's say, a 10. Okay, and let's save the changes up. Let's reload. Okay, so you see that the opacity dropped and it shifted slightly downwards because the padding top had been given a value of 10. Cool. And in the end, people, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the transition property out here, which is not going to change anything immediately. Okay, right, but on a hover, and when a little later, not immediately. Cool. So I just have 3 more rules to tackle now. I would want my menu bar to kind of increase in height when you hover over the menu bar. So I'm gonna tackle the next rule. I'm gonna say a height, instead of 210, be 230 this time on a hover. Okay, save. Let's bring the browser up. Let's refresh. Let's reload and see the height increase on a hover for all the 6 different menu items, simply because you see this rule menu bar is applied to all the different divisions, 6 different divisions menu bar. Cool. Okay, simple. Next, at the same time, the P label rule that we had defined out here, I would want it to change to when somebody hovers over the different menu items. I would want the padding top to be a 30 this time and not 10 as was the case earlier on a hover, and the opacity to change from a 0.6 to a 1. Okay, so a dual change to the label, the paragraph label on the hover of the different menu items. So let's see that in action too. Let's reload and see the transparency go up, also see the padding increase. So as the menu items actually, the height of the menu items increase, you see the items actually shift downwards. The padding top increases from a 10 to a 30. Cool. Now one major rule, people, I'm gonna find it a little difficult to explain it to you. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of a copy paste here just to make things a little snappy. Let's save the document up. Let's bring the browser up. Let's refresh and show you the final product. Okay, almost magically you see the transition happen around the different icons. So that may be a little difficult for you to understand what exactly happened out here, what is transpiring out here. I'm going to make a little bit of a change to the code so that you actually become, it becomes a little easier to understand. You see, there's something happening to the rule icon attached to the images on a menu item hover. What's happening? You see, earlier the value was 0, 0, 0, 30. 0 is X displacement, Y displacement, blur value, spread. The spread was 30, but it was not visible simply because it had been rendered a complete opacity, a complete transparency, setting this value at 0. Let's say this value had been a 0.2. And deliberately, let's see the transition of the box shadow in 4 seconds. Deliberately, I'm actually making these changes so that you understand what exactly is going on out here. Okay, if I were to bring the browser up now, let's reload. And you see, now if I hover, see the change that is actually happening. Okay, so you see the spread decreases and the transparency also changes on a hover. But this effect looks really cool when this was the magic touch, wasn't it? We start off with a complete transparent box shadow and make it a little snappy. Instead of 0.4s, make it 0.4s. Okay, yep. So let's save the changes up, bring the browser up to see the final product. Let's reload. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Alright, very cool. Now some of you may actually argue these are 6 menu items, but you're not linking it up using the anchor tags. That's exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm going to just show you how to tackle item number 1 so that you can tackle the other five items yourself. That's not going to be difficult at all. So I'm going to go to index.html file and I'm going to wrap this first division with the anchor tag. Okay, so href, I'm going to set it to a null value right now. I don't have any real link ready, and then this is where the division actually closes. I'm gonna have the closing a tag out here. So yes, with HTML5 you're allowed to encapsulate, you're allowed to wrap, you're allowed to engulf the divisions with the anchor text like this. Okay, so let's see things in action now. Okay, now see, as I hover over the the different items, you can see the pointer. Now the whole division is actually a link tag. Okay, now that also answers one of my questions. One of the reason why I actually set the label a color of black, because had I not done that, let's say I would remove it for a minute, for a second, momentarily, and if I were to bring the browser up, let's reload, you see this item has actually turned purplish. Now why this happens is because this is a link, and links never remain black. So that was the reason, you see, I had to set it to a different color. Okay, so people, I hope you actually enjoyed this tutorial. You learned a lot of stuff. You will you will thumb the video up, you will share it on different social networking sites, and you'll keep coming back for more and more tutorials, won't you? You have a good day. Bye bye. Peace.